Attention, bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn, so please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I'm your host today, Jay Fifth, with
Jackie?
and
Hello, my friends, it's I, Sala.
oh, good, it's
That
Sala.
was good.
Was that
That was
good?
impressive.
I enjoy that. Sala is a great character. For what we're gonna talk today, Indiana Jones.
Dun, 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 dun,
New movie's coming
dun,
out.
dun, dun.
And
Pumped.
it's Disney acquired it when they got Han Solo or Harrison Ford to do Han Solo. That was kind of his deal,
That
right?
was his deal.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not doing it. I will only do it if I'm doing
Indiana
Jones. And he's now embraced that's his character.
Yep.
He will forever be that character, and he's made it like
And he doesn't want anyone else to remake it after.
He wants it to end with him.
He wants it all him.
yeah,
Whether or not he doesn't really have a say.
because Disney owns his likeness,
He doesn't.
and he's going to be in many movies after.
Yep. They might say right now, like, oh, we're not.
Oh, no, never. We're honest. You see Mickey Mouse with his fingers crossed by his back, like, oh no, we're honest.
We respect your wishes. Get in the closet, Mark Hamill.
As you hear the Joker laugh. Yeah, we're talking about Indiana Jones. The new movie is out. I don't know when this is getting released, but
Probably.
I think
By
it-
the time this episode comes out,
Is it coming out soon?
it's June. It's
End
this
of the
month.
month.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, end of the month. And so it's coming out. It's his 5th movie,
Oh.
and it's supposed to be the last one. So everyone's going, is he going to die? That's the question everyone's, is he going to die? Are you going to kill him off?
No.
And it's like, it's weird.
If you do, you got to do it right. You got to do it in like a cool way.
You gotta
If
do
you're
like
gonna-
Han Solo way.
No, not a Han Solo.
Or
way, like-
Kylo Ren
Yeah.
stabs you.
It's got to be something like he gets taken up by like other, like, I don't know, some
Aliens.
aliens or something weird like that. Like he's got to go away with like
No.
something
They're
weird.
not gonna
If
kill
they're
him.
gonna like kill him off, like he's just gotta have to like disappear with the artifact or whatever the dial of destiny is.
I'm calling it. They're not killing him.
I don't think he's dying. I don't think he's going to, because if we go into his lore, he's alive. In the Young Indiana Jones TV show, which just got dropped onto Disney Plus, but you can only see it if you have a passcode or you have the setting to where you can see everything.
Oh.
Because I looked on my daughter's, it didn't pop up,
Oh right.
and it's because she's on
Are
kid
the
mode.
other Indiana Jones movies on it?
All of them are on there, but like the Young
Oh.
Indiana Jones does it because there's some scenes where like you're dealing with kind of like, it's not like you have to be older than 13, I think,
Okay.
to understand
So-
some of these
so
concepts. I want to say mature, but I was like, I don't mean mature. I mean just like
A teenager.
You have to know about life,
Yeah.
and like you're dealing with like a teenager character exploring the world,
Right.
and so and the adult world.
But you know what's okay? Ripping hearts out of people's chests.
Ex-
That's perfectly
Oh,
fine.
Exactly. That's what I'm all like.
not.
We're dealing with a cult of people that do human sacrifice.
I hated that scene.
And yeah, that caused lots of controversy. I mean, interesting fact, was not shown in India. And it's not even shown on Indian TV.
Oh.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Because they're
Because
like,
it's kind of insulting.
I don't know if it's an insulting thing or if they're like sects, like of group
that actually
that would
follow
like,
it.
yeah, where people be like, oh, I want part of that.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
You got some community. You got human sacrifice. No, like it's just
Yeah.
like that guy just ripped a heart out. That guy's got superpowers. I'm
Right.
into that. So I don't know in that if there's culture.
They really want to bring that
They're just
influence.
like that. We don't want
With
to
the
open
Hindu
that can of worms.
culture,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, so yeah. So in the Young Indiana Jones TV series, which a lot of people probably didn't watch because it came out in the early
90s?
mid 90s. Yeah, and it talks about Indiana Jones' experience from being, a boy to he's about like 20 years old.
Which I think they reference some of that in Crystal Skull, don't they?
I think they did reference something. I can't remember what it was, but I remember watching it and going, "Oh, that's the TV show."
It was like he went with he went and did something with somebody else, some historical person, and Shia LaBeouf's like, "What? With him?"
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's the whole premise of that TV show, is that it's kind of like a Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
where he's casually going, like his dad's on this tour in Europe, and he meets like, he falls in love with the Archduke Ferdinand's daughter, you know, the one that sets off all World War One,
Right.
the famous Archduke, and like he meets Freud, he meets Tolstoy in Russia. He meets all the right people throughout time, and that's what's fun about the show. It's like a Forrest Gump, like an inadvertent like meet people before they're famous,
Right.
and you learn about history, and that's what like I think this was a catalyst for liking history so much, was that TV show in the 90s, because I was like 9 or 10 when I was watching it. It was like a TV movie too.
Yeah.
It was like an
They're
hour.
long.
They were like an hour and a half, and there were these episodes that they released, and they had 20 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they released them all on Disney Plus. They were on Paramount, but it was like only like a little bit of time, and then they got rid of it. So it's great. I enjoyed the show, but I'm a super Indiana Jones fan.
What? You are?
Super.
Never heard you talk anything about it.
I've read the novels. There's like 11 of them. No, 13 novels. I've read them. Then there's like, Choose Your Own Adventure. There's like 12 of those. R.L. Stein actually wrote some of those.
Goosebumps guy.
Goosebump guy. Yeah, he wrote some of those. There's comic books. And like, so the story, like even the books are like the kid in Young Indiana Jones, he was like on the Titanic, like whatever major event, Indy was there. It's like so ridiculous where he's at and what he does.
So he's like the Doctor in Doctor Who, just like
Yeah, he
just
was there.
happened to be there.
You know, I totally got that vibe with like watching, because I rewatched all the Indiana Jones movies like within a couple of days. And I totally got the vibe. I was like, oh, this is like Doctor and his companion going on adventures.
Yeah.
And it was
but
like, or James
but the
Bond,
assistant
yeah.
never outshines
Yeah.
Dr. Jones. Like,
Never.
Never. And there's so much. There's video games, and
Those
video
games were not very good.
they're not very good, and that's why they kind of stop in like the 90s.
The 90s, yeah.
You've never seen anything on a major console, and it's kind of hard. I mean, the closest you probably do is like where in the world is Carmen, like San Diego kind of
Right.
like history game, and those are really popular now, right? I'm referencing something from the 90s.
Yeah.
Remember Carmen San Diego? Rockefellers?
Oh yeah,
Well, and honestly,
the acapella group.
Yeah.
what makes Indiana Jones great is Harrison Ford.
It is.
I mean, like, he makes that movie.
Yeah.
And you always wonder, like, the fact is, like, who do they have like picked for him? Tom Selleck. He
Yeah.
was hired.
Tom
So he's
Selleck.
the Magnum PI guy.
He's the mustache.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the mustache.
Yeah.
He dated Monica
Friends?
on Friends.
Yeah.
Although that's a reference for some people to get.
Right.
He's on like NYPD, like some CBS cop show.
Right.
He's on one of those too. Yeah, he was picked, and then CBS was like, no, because he's Magnum PI, and we don't want him. So it was there, and George Lucas didn't want Harrison Ford to be like Scorsese's Robert De Niro,
Right.
where he's like, or Johnny Depp to Tim Burton,
Right.
Yeah.
where it's like this director and this actor always. Like he was hesitant, like he did American Graffiti.
Yeah. And then he
And
didn't
then
want him for Star Wars.
He didn't want him for Han Solo, but like
He
he's
did
just there.
really good for it, so they're like, he's the best man for the job, and so he got that one.
And then same thing. He did the readings to help with the casting for
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, and they picked him for that. And it's just like they're just there together, and it's worked out. I'd say so.
yeah, very
Yeah.
Everyone's like, you always had these like questions of like, who could be Indiana Jones?
no one.
You know what? There was a moment after the like Crystal Skull. I thought Bradley Cooper could do it.
Okay.
And then there was the Chris Pratt.
The Chris Pratt. I remember hearing the Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
As soon as like Guardians came out, like, oh, he's got the vibe, and I was all like, I don't know, it's kind of he just
He doesn't really. I don't think he has the right vibe.
He does have like the
Parks and Rec character
Yeah.
just totally kills it for me.
He has the comedic comedic
Yes.
charm, but Indiana
It's not
Jones
deadpan. It's his is deadpan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
deadpan
Or like
or like
chaos-like
suave,
statements of
yeah.
like,
right.
Like Indiana Jones, like didn't know what he was doing most of the time, but he knew what he was doing.
yeah. And Harrison Ford's not a funny person.
No.
He's not
Like, think of a movie who was funny, and it's always like
No, he's
circumstantial,
very
like
serious.
dad, like serious deadpan joke,
right.
and it's like, oh, that's funny. Circumstantial.
I love seeing him in the
Interviews?
Sabrina,
Oh, Sabrina.
the movie.
oh yeah.
Because he's like, it's a romantic movie. It's just funny to see him in that role.
He's like, this is not natural. It's like Natalie Portman being in love with someone. I don't believe it. Yeah, it's so yeah. Harrison Ford's not first, but you know what? He owns it. It's
does.
his,
Oh, it's
and it's
great.
just, and for me, like he's the like Hollywood like character I wanted to be growing up. He got the girl. He's smart. He's handsome. And he punches Nazis in the face. Like that's
Yeah.
I mean, it's like he beats up the ultimate bad guy and wins.
yeah.
You know, or he could have just in Raiders of the Lost Ark just let the whole thing happen and nothing would have like you just have to lurk behind them and just pick up after them, right? So yeah. Love Harrison Ford. I think I've never heard anyone going like, he was a horrible pick. Never again.
Well, if he was a horrible pick, they wouldn't have made a number 2. So,
No, of course not. And
because I mean, Indiana Jones makes the movie. So if you don't have a good Indiana Jones, you have no movie.
no, not at all. And, you know, surprising fact, Steven Spielberg's first sequel prequel was an Indiana Jones film.
Right.
He had never done one before that. So,
Okay.
yeah, you're like, is that true? And you're like, there was no E.T. You know, does the video game count in Atari? Worst Atari game ever. Drive you
Pretty
nuts.
bad. It's pretty bad.
So a little back history. His name is Henry Walton Jones Jr. And you'll know this like in Last Crusade where he's all like, Junior.
Junior.
Why do you call
Why do you call him Junior? That's his name.
Henry
Jones
Jr.
Jr.
And Sean Connery plays his dad. And so India was born in
So where does Indiana come from?
the dog.
Oh.
And they explain that on the Young Indiana
That's-
Jones show.
oh.
So the Young Indiana Jones show brings up, kind of fills in the gaps.
Okay.
Because you'll watch like Last Crusade, you're like, Mom never understood. And there's like this thing of like, she left soon. And they go over that on the show. Like his mother died of breast cancer. And
Yeah.
like, and you get a feel of like where he is well traveled. And it's part of his culture just to be able to pick up the language and move in this world. So that's what I really like about Young Indiana Jones. It can be seen as boring. It's almost seen as documentary
Yeah.
like, and it may not. So if you like
The
like
adventure,
the
yeah.
like side adventures and like the little facts about that, what makes that character, then you'll like it. And it kind of explains like what I like about Star Wars. I like reading the novels and getting the side little stories that really don't affect the storyline, but it enhances the characters
Right.
in the storyline. And that's what these Indiana Jones extra media does. And that's what I really, really enjoy about it. Like I say, when he lost his mother, he fought in World War One. He rode with Pancho Villa.
That's it. Pancho Villa. That
That's
was the
right.
reference.
That is the reference. He's like, yeah, I rode with
Pancho
Pancho
Villa.
Villa. And they brought that up. So, going back to your thing, like, will he die? And I go, I don't think so. Because in the Young Indiana Jones, he's alive. They show him with an eye patch, and he's an old man, and he's getting taken care of by his daughter or something like that. And he's all like, I was on an adventure once. Oh, silly grandpa. And you're like, no, grandpa was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he fought in World War One. He was 16 and 17, ran away from home because he didn't like his dad. And, he became Captain La France. And he went through the Belgian, army, and he fought in Verdun. And then, he became, a spy. And so they turned it kind of into, a James Bond spy kind of character. And he became
Which
the
is they
captain.
reference a lot in Crystal Skull. I feel like they like to reference.
They were trying
Yeah.
to bring the world together in
Right.
that, because they were pulling from his past into this character in the Crystal Skull. You know, he eventually goes to the University of Chicago at the will against his dad, because his dad's a Princeton medieval literature professor. You know, and you can know that kind of personality. You could see where there's that conflict of, you know, like the difference between Indiana Jones and his dad in, you know, that classic Zeppelin scene where he's all like, "You're more interested in your books than you were about me." And he's like, "Well, you left when you're getting excited." And, you know, like, you kind of chuckle, like I think all parents kind of get that way where they like, when kids become adults and they can like kind of relate to them at the same level.
They leave, and then the parents are like, "Well, I wanted to get to know you.
You
now
were just getting interesting. You stopped playing with Pokemon cards. You liked the same movies as me. Come on back." Yeah, he served in World War II, referenced in the Crystal Skull. He was an OSS, like CIA, you know, officer, but we have no information about. They've not filled in any of that kind of like story. He's been married twice. Do you know that? So in the books, he was married to a woman named Deidre, fell in love, and she died in an airplane accident when he was looking for a civilization of like white people with red hair in the Amazon. And they're like, it's kind of, and I go back in the novels, the first 6 novels written by Roger McGregor, awesome. So if you want that Indiana Jones, and this guy did the novelization for Last Crusade. And he did a good job. So if you're like looking like what's a good book, the first 6 novels with Robert McGregor, they're really good. They embody the Indiana Jones experience, and they go into some really fun adventures. So yeah, and he's in the 4th movie. He marries Marion Ravenwood, the love interest from Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? So that's kind of the overall like story. And he goes, his whole thing is he's an archaeologist, but he majored in linguistics. That's why he knows languages, and he's able to like just learn and read things. And it's like, it's one of those unsettled things. Like, yes, he's speaking English, but like, you know, when he punched out the Nazi in Last Crusade, and he's like, "No ticket." You think he was really saying that in English?
right.
I guess I'll give my ticket to this English speaking, you know, person in Germany. Like, no, like, you know, like, he just knows how to, and they kind of explain that more in Young Indiana Jones. Like, I'm really trying to push it because I don't want it to go away.
Yeah.
So I'm really.
Do you want more of Young Indiana Jones?
Oh, they were gonna do more.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna go to Argentina and all these different places, but it was so expensive, and the ratings weren't there.
Yeah.
You know, and
So watch it on Disney Plus, and Disney might keep it around.
And I don't know if they have extras where they have the
They
documentaries.
don't. I checked.
Oh man, the DVD set, like wherever he went and who he interacted with, there was like an 1.5-hour documentary. Like he was in Russia, and they talked about like, I learned about the Russian Revolution and stuff, and it's just like, oh, that was so fascinating. You tell, I really like history. And you know what my stem for Indiana Jones stems from? What? The map and where he travels to.
Yep.
That red
That was
line
cool.
and
That was
like,
You travel by map.
and-
Muppets joke.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Travel
it's
by line. I think it was by line.
By
No, I
line.
think it was map.
Something like that. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
So it's like get older and I'm like, what do I like? And it's sort of like, oh, it all stems from Indiana Jones because we're at Grammy's house, and all we
Right.
have is
Oh yeah.
the American Tale, or Indiana Jones, or Jane Fonda workout tapes, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I got really fit, and I learned. No,
You watch Indiana Jones, and then you're like, I gotta get fit.
all right, Jane Fonda, let's do this. Jazzercise, yeah. I had like the sweatband and the tight leotards. I didn't like it, right up my butt. It was just awkward. Grammy was like, "What are you doing?" All right, so 4 movies. Let's talk about them. Like we'll kind of rank them. I'll say the name of the
Yeah.
movie, and we'll say like where we feel it. So there's 4 of them. 5th one's coming out. I really don't know too much about it. All I know is like there's Nazis in there, and he's going back in time. I saw a younger version of him,
Yes.
and that's all I know. So there's some sort of time travel. So looks exciting. Saw Saul on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of
I'm
like
excited for that. He's a great character.
He's a great actor.
He's a
Yeah.
great actor in everything that he's done. Even when he was in he did Star Trek Voyager. He played Da Vinci.
He was
great.
I knew him from Sliders.
Sliders, yeah.
Oh,
He was the professor there, and he was
He
just
was
he was
great.
angry, but he was the brains.
And obviously, most people might remember him as Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
He was great there, but he's Sala in my heart, right
oh,
here.
Yeah. Always. That is definitely
Mm-hmm.
for me. He's always Sala
Uh,
when I see him.
So, 4 movies: Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, and then Crystal Skull.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go with what do we want to start off? Raiders of the Lost Ark.
We can start at the beginning.
You want to start at the beginning?
Yeah,
What's that ranked for you guys?
I have it at 2.
2.
It's hard. I'm going to say 1.
You say 1? Okay, I say 2, and it's a close.
It's
tie.
close.
It's tough.
close.
It's Last Crusade. I figured Last Crusade.
Yeah.
and
I think
that
that's
are-
as both of ours.
Yeah,
We agree.
same. It's a hard toss up between those two, but when I rewatched the first one, I was like, I'm really enjoying this. I love like the kookiness of it, but also like how fun Indiana Jones is, and yeah, and I just enjoyed it.
It's a fantastic journey that he goes on. Like it's that I love that what is it, like the riddle solving, the puzzle solving, where it's like,
Yes.
oh, you got to do this, and oh, we've got to touch this here, and we got to move this around here.
Yeah.
Oh, it can't be this tall. We got to take one away because of the Sabbath. You know, like that little stuff. Like
One Kadam.
right, it's like that little stuff. Like it's you go on that journey and you go along with him. You go on that self discovery with him. It's not just like, oh yeah, this is the way it is, and boop boop boop, and we're done.
You felt with them, and the opening, what sold the movie was
Absolutely.
that opening sequence and the big ball and going
Yeah.
in the temple. You were with
It's
them.
the most
you
iconic.
were right next
I was
to him
watching.
that
I was
whole
like, why
scene.
doesn't he just go under? Because there's like a ramp. He could just
Well, it eventually closes
Yeah.
the
That's
hole.
the point of the
It's
ball.
to
is
trap them.
gotcha.
So if you don't run fast enough,
You're stuck.
you're stuck.
Gotcha.
You're not getting out.
That makes
Even though he's
sense.
gonna
It's
whip
it's,
and
it's
That
not
makes
it's not
sense.
like the Weird Al movie where it continually chases you outside the temple.
No,
I could just see the French villain. He's just like Jock was just all like,
what the
he's
heck?
all like, you should have spoken Watuki, you know, as he's running away. He's like, ah! No, Jock's the pilot guy.
Jacques.
Yes.
Who's the guy? I forgot his name. I can't remember the name of the villain, but he was really good.
He was He was a great villain.
I enjoyed the special effects in the first one.
It won an Academy Award, I think.
Probably
I thought it was great. It was just like, oh, I was like, they totally took this for Ghostbusters and like different like scenes and stuff, but it was just like, it just was good. You know, it's that old special effects
It's
style.
the practical effects. I
Yeah.
mean,
Except for the ending with the wax face. That's the part where you have
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh no, it's Mummy 2. Like, you tried, but it's the good thing about Indiana Jones, and this is my grief with people that bash on Kingdom Skull. It's like, it's not believable. And I was like, really? The melting
It's
faces
all-
didn't take you out of the
The
movie?
grabbing the
where
heart.
the glasses start like pulling out the grabbing of the heart and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like, you already went on this kind of like lighthearted, like, oh yeah, getting dragged underneath the scar, and then I'm gonna climb up and keep punching. Oh, I've been shot in the arm too,
Right.
and then I'm gonna jump off a boat and get into a U-boat, and then everyone's like, how did he survive? Didn't the U-boat go underneath? Like, did he
Right.
sneak aboard? And he's like, I speak German. I'm on this crew. Like,
Right.
there are so many little things that you could poke at, going, that's not realistic. And I feel
Yeah.
like the
Indiana
generation that started
Jones
watching
is not
Crystal Skull,
realistic.
it's not. It's supposed to be lighthearted.
It's like
enjoy the
Fast and
journey.
the Furious of today, or
just don't take it.
Yeah.
Don't try to analyze like the physics of this doesn't work, and you're like, okay, just stop. It's not. It's just go along for the ride.
Yeah.
It's an old adventure in time, and it's a character that is still believable that you could become or
Right.
would want to be. You know,
Just like you're bringing in actual real history inspiration.
yeah, it's in the incorporation of the past
Yes.
and appreciation of the antiquities. being discovered. Because we're at
Yes.
an age where like, everything's been found, but it's not true. They're still finding stuff in the world, but they're using technology with like LiDAR and stuff like that to find things in jungles. And they just announced they found another tunnel in the pyramid.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like pyramids they're there. It's not like they're like, we just found them. Oh, look, a new tunnel. Like, no, they're discovered. They've been known. They've been, ransacked for what they are. So it's cool that there's still something like that. But, I can only imagine all the archaeologists that came out from this. They're like, this is nothing like Indiana
I know. It's
Jones.
like, man, we're the Nazis. I want to
Most of them
punch some Nazis.
Most of them go into like IT.
Right.
I'm not joking. How many people that I've learned that learned to become archaeologists and done really cool like site digs, but they end up being like mapping people or IT security, and you're like, oh, okay, not a long-term job right there. And so, yes, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No fortune and glory on
No
that?
fortune and glory on that
Fortune and
one.
glory.
Yeah. No Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, love the movie. Raiders of the Lost Ark is great.
It's great. Did
Yeah.
a fantastic job. It did a great job establishing the world
Yes.
and establishing the character.
He doesn't even say anything really that develops his character.
Nope.
His actions just spoke like, this guy is awesome.
Yeah.
He was running a tribe in Central America, and he escaped. And then he doesn't like snakes.
Yeah.
He does not like snakes.
He's my pet snake, Reggie. I hate snakes. You learn he's already got a weakness.
Yeah.
He's not a juggernaut. He's like, he doesn't like snakes, and then he encounters snakes later on, but he faces them and he deals with it. Marion, we like her. Is she the best one of
She's
them all?
my favorite.
Easily.
Nobody
Yeah.
likes Willie. She's so annoying.
She's
she even
the
comments.
second
She's
one,
like,
right?
she's the second one. She's
Oh,
one.
so
she's like, I'm
annoying.
just there to scream the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I mean, she's got a great scream. Don't get me wrong. Her
Yeah.
scream is top notch, but
Kind of reminds
Yeah,
me of the
she-
Boy Meets World, where it was
Right.
like
Yes.
Angela and Jennifer Love
I'm the
Hewitt.
screamer.
And she was like, oh, that was a good scream. Yeah, Marion's great.
she's a great personality, great character.
She's feisty. She balances them like
I liked it because like the opening scene, like she's running a bar and like
out drinking grown men.
out drinking, playing
And
them up,
she's
and
not
like
the biggest of girls either. Like,
She's got like to have the worst liver ever. If you're
Probably.
like drinking
like-
grown, like, drunken middle-aged men under the
it's
table.
like she doesn't fully need Indiana Jones to live.
she doesn't.
No, she just wants the money. She needs him for the
Yeah.
money, but I mean, but then you get
But
the
she also
story
likes
of like,
the adventure of it.
but they left the mystery too with her, right?
Yeah.
With the love story, it's all like, like I was a child, and it's just all like,
it's
you
like-
know what you're doing, like, it's just like, but there's conflict already.
Yeah.
So you already know like that there was history and that there was like love, and so you didn't have to develop that story anymore. And that was really smart of them to do that. Like you felt like you already knew these characters
Yes.
without even getting into a deep history, and that is such a lost art
Yeah.
in movies.
Yeah.
Now they have to explain.
And then we get a
everything.
3-hour opening, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's why I like sequels, because I could get right into it.
Right.
I already know these characters. I
Yep.
know the jokes. Let's go and do it. Yeah, just great. Anything you guys want to say about? I love the scene where he's like in the convoy, where he's like
Oh yeah,
with the truck.
Oh yeah.
it's great. It's so much fun. Good lines. Bad dates. Bad dates.
Bed dates, yeah, they're just great one-liners through there.
Or the famous scene, the sword fight scene where he was sick the day they were filming
The whole crew got
What
food
happened?
poisoning.
Okay, so tell me.
So you remember the
story.
scene, the guy with the sword, where like,
Yes.
whoa, and he's like, where the one guy is obviously white, and they didn't hire somebody local to be the swordsman. Yes, the whole crew got food poisoning, except for Steven Spielberg, because he only ate his own food, which is a bunch of canned Moriarty, like Chef Moriarty stuff. He was the only one that didn't get sick, and
Yeah, he
So
got
what's the
sick,
story?
and so like Harrison Ford did not want to do this choreography where he's sword fighting with this guy. He was so sick, and says, "Can I just shoot the guy?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, let's do that."
Let's do a take, see what it does.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Spock in Star Trek with the nerve pinch.
Yeah.
It's the same story where like Spock's like, I don't really want to do this fist fight thing. Can I just do like a nerve pinch or something? And I'm
Something
like, "Yeah,
logical
sure."
and to the point.
But
yeah.
like that's what makes that scene great, because it's just like Indiana Jones is not gonna have a sword fight unless if he has a gun.
Well, and that's one of the things that makes Harrison Ford a great actor.
Yeah.
Is that he knows his character well
Yes.
enough. Like, for example, Harrison Ford, Empire Strikes Back, I love you. He's like,
I know.
I know.
Just confidence.
Yeah.
Oozing it.
That is a Harrison Ford correction. Like, because he
Yeah.
was supposed to say, I love you too. But he said,
But Han Solo doesn't
Solo
go,
doesn't say,
I love you too. Like, he doesn't know. He's just
No.
like, I'm
I know.
doing this. I know. Like, ah.
Like, he knows. That's one of the great things about Harrison Ford. He knows his characters so well. And
yeah,
he knows
he
what's
studies the,
right thing.
characters well.
Yeah, I agree. He nails it. You guys want some fun facts?
Yeah.
Staff is supposed to be 60 inches of what that has the little medallion on there. And so when he puts it down in there, it's above his head.
Right,
So that
which
would
is-
make Indiana Jones,
He's kind of short.
it would make him less than 5 foot. And so kind of messed up on that because they were like, it is 7 or 6 kadan, which is 72, minus 1 kadan for the one thing,
Right.
which makes it 60 inches. And it's like, yeah, he's bigger than a 5 foot staff.
Yeah,
So that was kind of thing. The headstone wouldn't work. So like the headstone on there, if you think about it, like with the sun hitting it, it has to be the right time of the day
Yeah,
and
and
year.
year.
So he just shows up and he's like, oh, that's a coincidence.
right.
Right? It's those little details where you're like, but that's what's good about it. Like you don't think about it until someone brings it up and you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't
Well,
work.
just like how
Oh yeah.
Indiana Jones, the Raiders of the Lost Ark doesn't need Indiana Jones for Indiana Jones to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the one where someone says, like, they didn't be there. And I was like, wait, but, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right.
I mean, they made a joke about it in Big Bang Theory, where the girls ruined it for all the guys. So it's all like, Indiana Jones didn't have to be there. Either way, the Nazis would have got the Ark, taken to the island, and all been melted.
Yeah, but they needed him to put it in the warehouse. That's the one flaw. It's like he at least he could have just been hiding the whole entire time. And he's like, wait till they open it, then we go and steal it from him,
but
right?
you know what? That also tells like what kind of character he is, because he's always been like nabbed at the end. Like it shows in the first movie where like he gets the artifact, right?
Yeah.
And then someone comes in and
swoops it.
And so I think that his character's like, no, I'm not gonna swoop.
Well, that was the whole like recurring theme in this movie, like
'Cause
what
he
was
lost
once
the Ark.
yours is now mine.
He lost the Ark, he lost the idol, he lost, yeah.
Yeah, it's just another fact. We got he was originally supposed to be named Alaskan Malmut.
Yep.
Doesn't
that's
roll
it.
off the
Nope.
tongue right there.
That's awful.
Not Indiana
that
Jones.
was bad.
Yeah. So this is and I was just telling Peter in the car right here. It's the only movie that's actually been registered at the National Archive.
Really?
Yeah, not the other ones. And it's it's like 57th ranked in IMDb. That's really good. Like
That's
with
good.
all the movies and stuff. All right. So we always like it's 1-2. It's
Yeah.
competing with Last Crusade. Next one, Temple of Doom. Totally different, and it's a prequel. It takes place 1935. So the first one's 36.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because George Lucas didn't want to be like fighting Nazis 2 movies in a row.
Yeah.
So they went back in time to 1935. Fun fact, Kate Capshaw, Willie, actually becomes Steven Spielberg's wife.
Right.
Really?
And there's a story where he first meets her and he's love struck, but he's married. And he's all like, oh, do you want to play Atari? I got Pong right here. And she's like, yeah, sure. Like, she's just, this is like her interview, her like casting. And she's like, whatever to get this job. Like, I'll play Pong with Steven
Yeah.
Spielberg. Like,
Right. It's not the worst thing he could be asking her. So
Yeah, I was like, in this day and age, it's
Yeah.
like just shows you like, good job, Steve.
Well, we hope.
Yeah, we hope. Right. Name of the club in the movie.
Club Obi-Wan.
So a little Easter egg.
Oh.
Yeah, and then originally they wanted a motorcycle chase on the Great Wall of China, and China's like, no,
No.
I don't think so. That doesn't work. The three main characters are named after dogs. Short Rounds was named after Willard Hayeks. He's a writer. His dog Willie was named after Steven Spielberg's dog, and Indiana was named after
George Lucas.
George Lucas's dog.
Oh, that's
So it's
funny.
kind of funny, yeah. The filmed banned in India, and then this is Steven Spielberg's first sequel / prequel. What do we rank this one? It's different.
It's 4.
4. Whoa, worst one.
Worst one.
Okay.
4.
4. Wow. I think it's 3 for me.
The reason why I put it 4 is because it is the most different. It doesn't follow the model that I enjoy about Indiana Jones. The thing I like about Indiana Jones is that journey of like discovery, of trying to find the item. Here, you find the item within the first half of the
Really?
movie, and then it's just all like the last half is them trying to get away from the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's true, you know. And
Like there is no like puzzle to solve or anything like that. It's literally just like, oh, there it is.
the puzzle is to escape
Yes.
and to bring back the Stones of Shiva back
Yes.
to the village.
right.
That was such a like get a depressing like
Oh, it's very
film like
dark
to get
themes.
into. Yeah, this is a very dark
Isn't
film.
it considered the first PG-13?
No, the first one. The first one was the first one.
Raiders? No, I thought it was Temple of
Okay.
Doom. I thought it was.
You know what's
Temple of
funny
Doom.
about this movie is I brought it on the bus when we for the band when we took a road trip to
Boy,
Canada.
you really wanted to like.
I don't know. I was testing the limits. I think at that age.
I got Schindler's List and I got Temple of Doom. Like, oh gosh, Jackie.
But we were on the bus with like the band teacher, but she was asleep, and we put it on, and she woke up right at the like.
the hard part.
She woke up at the hard part. She stopped it. It was so funny.
Did everyone go no?
I think everyone was like asleep on and off kind of thing. But
You should have screamed. I was watching that. Rewind it.
There's a reason why she didn't like our family very much.
Good thing she never met me. I probably would have
Oh.
really ruined it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that movie. It's fun.
There's fun moments, but overall,
Short Rounds for me as a kid, he was me in
Oh,
the
he
Indiana
was so
Jones
good.
adventure.
Okie dokie, Dr. Jones.
Yes. You know, and they kind of poke fun at. So there's that new Chinese Marvel show on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah,
Chinese
yeah.
born
yeah.
American Chinese, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they have the actor
Yeah, he's in
playing the stereotype 80s like character for, he's playing himself, as a caricature in that TV show. And I was all like, is that him? Is that the actor? Because he
think
just
it is.
won the Oscar.
did.
Yeah.
For his role. I can't remember the name of the movie, but I was like, is that him? And I looked it up and I was like, no joke. They got him to kind of like poke fun at the stereotypical, like, Chinese, born American kid. And I was all like, that's kind of like him taking charge of like that era,
Yeah.
and like owning, and so I thought it was really cool. But as a kid,
It
I
was
don't
great.
think about that stuff,
Right, no.
I'm just here for the adventure, and I really like that film. But it was really weird with the heart pulling out and the
Yes.
human sacrifice. You don't really understand as a kid,
Very dark themes. Very
Yes.
dark themes.
and those do go over my head as a kid. But I like the adventure with the kid, and that was
I
kind of
loved
great
the kid.
about that.
He was
He was
definitely
the- he
a
was the
favorite.
highlight of the
I
film.
wish they didn't have the girl, but of course Indiana Jones always has to have a girl.
Yeah, I mean that's the charm of him is that,
You gotta bring in the James Bond like aspect,
and that's
of
what
it.
they were trying to go for
Yeah.
when they were doing
He's
the
the
kind of character
American
development.
James Bond.
Yeah, he is. I wanted
Yeah.
I Indiana Jones, and like always at the Disney parks during the Halloween party, every Disney party there's an Indiana Jones. every time. There's always a dad.
Yeah. It's an easy costume.
Easy
It is
costume.
easy costume.
Biggest disappointment about this movie is that they never made the mine ride.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was like every time you watch the movie, you're like, this would be an awesome roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like Paris has something like that, but it's like a horrible roller
I
coaster.
think they were trying to do something like it, but they just did like
It's so
like
garbage.
a pre-made coaster, and
and they just put like
some-
stones and they're
yeah.
like, welcome to Indiana Jones. And you're like, I don't feel like this is Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Not after you get a taste of Disneyland and you're like, you get that immersive queue and you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it doesn't work. Okay. Why is it bad? Why is it worse than any of the other movies?
Well, I mentioned it. It doesn't
Yeah.
follow that model of the theme of like looking like, yeah, they had the history thing, but like you miss that element of like discovery.
Okay.
It's also like I felt like Indiana Jones really wasn't Indiana Jones. He didn't act like the Indiana. He seemed more because like
He was more caretaking.
Yeah.
He had to watch after these two people the whole entire movie.
well, it wasn't even necessarily that bothered me. It was literally like his attitude about why he goes out and does these things. Like it's fortune and glory. I'm in it for the money. Like that's the vibe I got when I rewatched it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
recently.
especially in the one opening scene.
Right. It's like
I need the money.
I need the money, which goes completely against what
Who he
his,
is,
what
yeah.
his motivation is to the rest of the other movies. It's about the discovery. It's about preserving this history. It's about
Yeah.
all of that. And so like I missed that aspect in his personality with
Okay.
that movie.
I see it. I think those are really good, valid points.
I think it just dies once they get to like the sacrifice cave.
It's just way too.
It's just, I don't know.
How about, and for dessert, monkey
Monkey
brains. Like, they really gross you out. That insect scene.
Snake surprise.
Like, it's not like a bad movie, but it wasn't.
It's you're dealing with four movies that
Yeah.
are good. Like, you like the character,
And
you have to pick one
with
for the
Peter,
fourth one.
like, it's the least Indiana Jones movie.
Yes.
I agree with Peter's point of view.
and to me, I've seen different types of Indiana Jones in the
Right.
books and and I see people's interpretations. For me, that doesn't affect me. But
Sure.
the point you bring up, I'm like, oh yeah, that it is different from the other movies and how it's portrayed. So if you're just watching for that, yeah, I definitely could see that and why you're like, no.
Also, I
that's
just
not for me.
didn't like the girl. She was annoying.
She is, and she's even said herself, she's like, I just sound like I'm just screaming all the
Yeah.
time and just look pretty. And so,
Yeah, I just didn't care for it. So,
fun fact, the dancing sequence about that movie was filmed last. And so the dress, when it makes appearances, was never actually worn until the very end. It was just making an appearance. But it was made with
So
sequences
she was
from
dragging it around the whole movie.
and she's like, what's this?
just dragging them from scene to scene. You know, there's costuming. All
That's funny.
right, so we're Last Crusade. What's it ranked?
It's on one.
Number 1 for me. 2
It's
for you?
2 for me.
2 for you.
It was close.
They're so close. It's hard.
They're both good because you've got the father,
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery,
He got nominated for that.
which is he was amazing.
He's the one that pushes it to number one. It's his
Yeah.
relationship with Harrison Ford.
it's so believable.
Oh, very much.
You get, and I talk about it, you get that father-son dynamic
Yes.
where they're like disconnected, they butt heads, they're similar, but they're different.
Yeah, their
You're old enough to be her-
relationship
you're-
on the screen was great.
You're old enough to be your grandfather, you know,
Right.
like
He's all like, "You were wonderful. Thank you." I'm like, what?
that was the best. You're like, oh dang, he still got it. What I like about Sean Connery, it is a character he's never done that's popular. He's the opposite of 007.
Okay.
He's not James Bond. He's
No.
not the
Right.
Highlander. He's vulnerable. You know, he's weak.
Yeah,
You know, when
Sure.
Indy's like, he's just like, come on, Dad. And you just feel like that.
Sure.
Like when you're a kid and you're trying to get your dad to run with you at Disneyland. Not our dad. Our dad would
No.
run. But you'd see other dads like, I'll be there. And they're like, come on, Dad. And they're like,
Yeah.
I'm tired. I don't want to. Yeah, we never had that with our dad. Our
No.
dad would he would race us in the parking lot, and like people would call the police and be like, "Hey, he's chasing these kids," and it's like, "No, I'm just trying to keep up with them."
Right.
Yeah, he makes that movie. He
Yes.
does. He brings it back, and it's just good. And Steven Spielberg said, like, I got to do this movie because of the backlash from Temple of Doom. I got to do this guy a service, and like the fans really love this character. Let's bring it back, and I think they nailed it. You know, to go from so dark to, you know,
It's very lighthearted. There's a lot of comedy in it.
what about the boats?
The boats.
That's my favorite line. He
Forget the
does.
boat, Dad.
And you see the German guy falling over, or like, Indiana Jones is like, punching like motorcyclists off. Like he did like the night scene when they're
Yes.
jousting, because he's a medieval literature guy, and he's like, wow, my son's a knight, He's really
Yeah.
getting involved in this adventure. But then he doesn't like when he flips over, and then he gets all like judgy. It's like, you're being mean, you're not doing things right, you're not a gentleman.
Right.
That judgmental dad. He just nails it.
He does.
What do we think of Elsa Schneider? Dr. Schneider.
I think she was a good villain.
She's
Yeah.
only 22 there.
Really?
Super young. Yeah, she's in her mid-50s right now.
Oh, wow.
I liked how they didn't like make a damsel in distress character.
Yeah, the whole Venice scene is like it should be a cue when it's just all like, I don't like fast women, and they had that make-out scene,
Right.
and you're just all like, that seemed really on character. I'm like, boy, no one ever like meets somebody and they're just like, they just messed up my room, we should make out right now. It's like, where's the red flags there? Smart guy, but again, Dr. Schneider's that like supermodel, like he's
Yeah.
fallen in love, It's all like, oh, you have your father's
The
eyes
love shrug.
and your my mother's ears, but the rest belong to you. Well, the best parts have been already spoken for, like they have that like chemistry
Yes.
right off the boat.
I mean, Indy like loves the banter back and forth with a girl.
Oh yeah,
He loves it.
he's always, and then you get that in Young Indiana Jones. They play into that, like he's just easy. Like the women are attracted to him. It's just natural. Doesn't have to hard work for it.
No.
Yeah, I thought she was a good character, and I love the ending. With her trying to reach for the cup.
Yeah.
And he's like, Elsa, like,
Let go.
Go, let me
And
give you your other
she
hand.
can't let go.
Yeah.
She can't let go. And that's what causes her to die in the end.
yeah.
And then Indy gets put to that same test, but he
And his
lets go.
dad goes, Indiana. And I get chills just thinking
Right.
about it. It's like that
Indiana.
ultimate
Yeah.
dad son. Mom's like,
Indiana.
hey, and he's like, Dad showing respect now. And he's like,
Yeah.
all right, Dad, I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
Like, that was like they became equals. And there's that beautiful moment when a dad loses his son. He thinks on the tank, and like, he's just like, I thought I lost him. Like, they've been apart for 20 years, and then they finally have that moment of like,
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
lose something that I never, cherished, that I took for granted. And then Indiana has the same when he's got the bullet in him, and so,
Right.
yeah, just so good. Sean Connery, can't say enough
Connery's
about
great.
him.
He
I
was
love
great.
the library scene.
Oh yeah, with the stamp.
The
stamp.
stamp. That was so fun.
That's a great gag.
He would like look at it like, what was that? Me?
I love the joke where he's all like, Brody's, he's a master of
Oh, yes.
languages. He blends in. You'll never see him. He's halfway
He's
to...
got contacts,
he
from
gets, like,
there to the
caught.
Sudan.
And he's all like, does anyone speak English here? Ah.
It's great.
He sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But then Sala meets him, and you're like, all right, Sala's here.
Sala's there.
And
He's
his
like,
comments of
he got
like,
lost in his own museum.
or they're like, he's like, Sala, we need to get a vehicle. No horses. And then
No camels.
No camels.
No camels.
they're to make up for my brother's car, like. One thing I did learn about Indiana Jones, he has no regard for other people's personal property.
Nope.
Steals cars,
Yeah.
just like, I'm dying and I'm just I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about the consequence. He is so focused on staying alive.
Yep.
Favorite movie, love
Best
it.
one.
Let's see. Fun facts about the four horses. They were actually loaned to him by the King of Jordan,
Oh,
because
wow.
Petra is the scene at the end.
Yeah.
Sean Connery and Harrison Ford wore no pants during the Zeppelin scene. It was just too hot in the studio. So you got a Grand Moff Tarkin kind of like with the boots. He's like, I'm not wearing them.
It's too
You
hot.
can't make me. All the extras during the Nazi parade, doing the salutes, they were instructed to put their arms behind their back and cross their fingers. to like protest, like.
We are not endorsing
We're not
this.
supporting Nazis.
I think that's a great thing to have your father's journal signed by Adolf Hitler. I bet that's like one of those fun moments.
Yeah, you're going
of,
through
like,
your grandfather's like, oh, this is my dad's journal, and you're like the daughter looking at it, and you're like, Hitler signed this?
Why did Hitler sign your book?
That's weird. So there's this theory, that was joked around because James Earl Jones and
Oh,
Harrison
yes.
Ford were in like Clear and Present Danger and like
There's a
Star Wars
Interconnected universe.
interconnected universe where because Captain Tenito or something like that,
Yeah.
he gets choked out by Darth Vader,
Right.
who's played by James Earl Jones. And so there's this joke that James Earl Jones and Harrison Ford from like Clear and Present Danger are trying to go back in time and kill Hitler, who's in Star Wars, because Star Wars is in the past.
Right.
And so there's always a joke like they're all connected together.
Right.
This was like pre-internet too, when they
I
did.
know.
So I tried to look online, and all I kept getting was like Hitler and Darth Vader rap battles. Like, well, I don't think I'm gonna find any kind of theories about this. Okay, speaking of Darth Vader, the song played at Donovan's party on the piano is Darth Vader's theme.
Is it?
It's Darth Vader's theme.
Oh, man,
So when the
I
wife comes in,
Oh.
it's like, you're neglecting your guest. In the
Dun,
background.
That's funny.
have to
During
go
the
back.
fight, during the fight scene on the tank between Colonel Vogel and Indy, great villain right there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a
This is
great
how we say goodbye in Germany. Oh, I like the Austrian way better. The Periscope German, he speaks in German. He goes, oh, the Americana. And he goes, the American, they fight like girls. Like, that's the thing that translate into. So, yeah, love that movie.
Yeah.
Always be number one for me. Great ending. And they left it where it is the last film for people.
Yeah.
The Last Crusade. It's the last.
It can be easily the last one.
And I think that what brings to our last film, it was so hard for people.
Yes.
Which is all like, it was believable that Harrison Ford was doing all these things. He could throw the punches
He
and
can
the
jump
whips
from a plane without a parachute.
Yes.
with a
raft.
with a raft thingy,
Yeah.
with a screaming blonde and a
Yep.
and a kid.
You're right.
And survive in the Himalaya like mountains.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But then we get to Crystal Skull and like, he survived a nuclear bomb and
and
a
a
old
refrigerator.
and a refrigerator.
That's what when that scene occurred, I laughed because I'm like, of course Indiana Jones would survive that, because it's just like, that's Indiana Jones. Like,
Honestly,
he survives like
Yeah.
chaos.
And the panic that he has right
Yes.
there, you're so consumed. You're like, that A-bomb's gonna kill him. Like,
Right.
even the Richard's like, forget this garbage.
Yeah.
There's no comrade for me right here. No, like, yeah.
Right. The one thing that the nuclear bomb thing wasn't even the thing that bothered me. What bothered me was the CGI.
The mole critters,
Yeah, like
the mole rats or something like that.
Whatever
Not the
they
mole
were.
rats.
It was
the
the
gopher
CGI
guy.
that ruined
gopher.
that
Too
movie.
much CGI. Indiana Jones wasn't a CGI
He
film.
doesn't need the CGI.
I think it's the hangover from like the Star Wars prequels
Yeah.
with George Lucas. It's a tool that he did utilize that much, in the past with Indiana Jones, and he's just writing an all blue screen, green
Yeah.
screen Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember seeing that and going, "Ugh, why did you have to put CGI there? You couldn't get an animal. You couldn't
Like, you
you
didn't
couldn't
even-
get Frank Oz to
you
like
didn't-
stick a hand in a
Right.
You
puppet."
didn't even need an animal.
You
You could have
didn't.
just left that out and just had him come out of the refrigerator like, oh my gosh. Not him staring at a CGI animal like, oh, I should be dead right now, but I'm not. The animal's fine.
I hope you like the omega isotopes coming from this from this.
right?
I love the whole opening racing, that American kind
Yeah.
of. It really got me in the we're in the 50s.
Yeah.
American rock and roll, exceptionism, the beginning of the Cold War. It set the tone for the movie. Just that little racing scene, and he's not even in there.
It was fun.
And it was cool in the film, with the homage to we finally figure out where the Ark went.
Yep. The
Area
arc went with
51.
Area 51.
Yeah.
And they played the little and you're like, yeah, there it is. We all knew when you're in theaters, is it here? Is this
Is
it?
this it? And then they show it and yep, there it is.
And then we learn about He's there at Roswell, like New Mexico, for the
Yeah.
alien crash, and you're like, they do exist, like. So that was I loved it,
Yeah.
I thought the communists were a good villain.
Substitute
Yeah.
for Nazis.
Yeah.
What did we care about Shia LaBeouf as Mutt?
I didn't mind watching it the second time. I remember the first time I didn't
Even Steven?
I had even Stevens, but
Holes?
Holes.
but now that
iRobot.
I haven't
iRobot.
seen any of his recent movies.
I got an old reference that he remembered.
From Conan O'Brien.
Conan
Sorry.
O'Brien.
Jackie, continue on.
Sorry.
Ignore our silliness.
Yeah, so because I hadn't seen many Shia LaBeouf movies recently, and so it was more fresh, to just watch him as this character. I don't know, his character did not bother me, and I could totally see the Indiana Jones aspects
Ooh.
in him.
Okay.
There were I definitely saw the characteristics more of the actions, which obviously was intentional. But I liked it.
I think what was hard for me was the extra, he was trying too hard. The machismo kind of James Dean kind of character. And I know that's what they were going for. And even Indy calls him out on that. I was like, dude, you don't have to try so hard, man. Just chill, bro.
Right.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just do this. And he learns, more about him, and they kind of grow to like each other. And that was kind of fun to see that character development. Yeah. You want a fun fact about it?
Sure,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
Originally, it was supposed to be planned. He was supposed to fight ex-Nazis, but Spielberg said he couldn't take Nazi enemies lightly after Schindler's List. After that film, because you look at the first two Indiana Jones with Nazis, they're just whoa, what is it? Hogan's Heroes,
Right.
You can't really take him serious. Maybe one of them,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's like, nope, pick a new enemy. It's not working for him. So the new movie, he's not directing it. He pulled himself
Yeah.
out of that. So
Did he?
Yeah, he's not directing it.
he's not directing.
He didn't
it.
direct it.
He's just this isn't working for me. And he got so many other things going for him.
He's like, I'm gonna move on.
He's at retiring age. He's at that point where
He picks his projects,
Yeah.
and he's always done that. But this is he's like, I don't need to do this.
right.
The girl who punches Shia LaBeouf in the diner scene, that was Spielberg's daughter.
Oh, that's fun.
Right. And this is the only movie, and the next movie, obviously, Pat Roach was not filmed. He passed away into and you're like, who's Pat Roach? He was the German fighter.
Oh.
And he was also the big guy that Indiana Jones was fighting in the Temple of Doom, the one with the beard,
Yeah.
and he gets smushed. He was in there.
Oh.
And he's also in Last Crusade.
I didn't know he was in Last Crusade.
Yes, he's walking with Colonel Vogel on the blimp scene. So there's two men walking. He's the other man there.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't
he's
know
in
that. I
all
didn't get that one.
he's in all three films right
It's a
there.
fun cameo.
Yeah, and so he passed away in 2004. So obviously he couldn't be in a movie in
Right.
2008. So, but I was like, oh, I thought I wanted to share because I didn't know that. I was like,
Yeah, that's
I had no
Oh.
idea he was bad guy
You
and
can,
both
you can get
Temple
an
of Doom.
action figure of him at Target.
Oh, he's famous with that beard. I love that beard that
no,
he's
the
got.
bald.
The bald one was just the
Yeah.
fighter. He's classic. You just see him, he's like that mini boss in a video game, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. What else do we want to talk about with Crystal Skull?
You can't not talk about the swinging monkey.
Swinging Monkey, and that actually
that was
ended
bad.
Shia LaBeouf's career pretty much
That was bad.
with Spielberg. I think it took me out of it too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm out.
I wish
a
they
little bit.
deleted it.
But I get why it was in there because they needed a way for him to get back into action.
Yeah.
And so he does come back in a
They
cool
should have just
way.
dragged him through the jungle,
Yeah.
just like his
That would have been
dad.
fine too.
He goes back. He's so road rat. I'm back, guys.
I would have even liked if he was surfing on a scrap metal or something,
I don't know about that.
I would have enjoyed more.
But I get what you're saying, where you're just something besides
Something
swinging
more
monkey.
realistic.
Where you're like, oh, we're
Give him a-
Tarzan
Because
now.
Shia LaBeouf was like friends with the monkeys.
I was just waiting for Phil Collins to start playing. I was like, you're ruining the.
I mean,
The CGI was bad.
Why not give him another motorcycle? I mean,
Yeah.
that's his character thing, is that he's a motorcycle dude. Give him
That's
another
true.
motorcycle.
Yeah, they flew his motorcycle all the way to Peru, and they're
Just
like,
to not use it.
Yeah.
Like, what was
Right.
the point? Just to hear him complain, they didn't take my motorcycle. They left it there. That was it.
it was so
Yeah.
stupid.
They left my motorcycle, man.
And it was just like one line to fix this little loose end. That was not the greatest.
Right. Like, he give him his motorcycle. But I did, in the reason why I didn't put it as 4 is because they had Indiana
Discovery.
Jones. Indiana Jones was Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I believed
Yep.
that's how Indiana Jones would have acted at that age. He was acting his age.
I
He was-
enjoyed like the banter of like at first when he realized it wasn't his kid.
Oh yeah, where he's like, it's not
Yeah,
college is
do
not
something,
for everyone.
Do something you love, and then when he found out he was
He's
gonna
like, and
go
you're
to
going back
school.
to and you're going back to school.
I loved it because it was like, yeah,
That's
that's
a typical parent response. Like, yeah, it's somebody else's kid, but if it's my kid, you're going to school. I'm gonna
Right.
tell you what to do. And it's like what his dad did to him.
Yep.
It's like you got that rebellion aspect.
Your grandfather is laughing right now.
yeah.
I love the scene where they're at the gravesite and like that one character's like jumping in and out,
Oh, right,
trying to
right,
shoot them
right.
with a poison
Yeah.
dart. Yeah, and
That
Indy
was
like
what, and he pops out and blows it back.
yeah, it's
Just
just
Oh,
like
that
you're a
was so
teacher?
cool.
best line. You're a teacher, but damn, and
Yeah.
you're just like
That was great.
that. You owned it.
That's Indiana.
That's bad A
Jones.
right there. That's Indiana Jones. Like you got that moment right there. Yeah, the whole motorcycle chase scene that was fun in the city. Yeah, the waterfall thing was a bit much for me.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I get it. It didn't take me out. Again, I always had to keep going. They ripped a heart out in Temple Doom. All right.
Right.
Melting
There's some
wax
things you have to
faces.
remind yourself, like, okay, well, this happened.
The
that
CGI
happened.
alien talking.
Right.
It's like, I didn't care for that. But I like Kate Blanchett. She was a
Share
good.
the knowledge.
She was good.
Yeah.
I liked her.
I didn't mind
I
her.
had issues with her.
What's your
Really?
issues?
And it may not have been issues with her, but I think there were some directorial issues I had that took me out. Like there were some like poses she had, like like she's
the
standing,
sword.
She's standing on the back of the car as it's driving away, and it's like
yeah.
No.
that's not what you would do. Like
Okay.
like, it just seemed over theatrical.
So that's a director. Yeah,
I
the
think it was more of a
director issues.
directorial decision, not necessarily her acting, but decisions that the director made, her posing and things like that. That kind of was like
Action figure poses.
I didn't care for her
Yeah.
accent.
You didn't like the Ukrainian W's.
It just sounded
the
a
way
little
you're
fake.
stretching those W's there. I would say you're from.
There's the linguistic side. He's got the ear. Yeah, I didn't, and I like the side boss villain
yeah.
where the ants and stuff. That was fine for the, but I liked it. You're a triple, like you're
Oh,
a
a
double
triple
agent.
agent.
Triple agent. It's like I
No,
just
it's
lied
just
about being a
lied.
double agent.
Isn't that what triple agents are? Just liars about.
So it was. I enjoy the whole thing, and it kind of brings out like the alien kind of theories of that, how they interact
And I was
with
okay
humans.
with the alien thing. Like
A lot of people had issues with aliens. It's
I
like
know.
really.
Honestly,
Why
it made
not?
sense.
It's just brought out the theory of like
Well,
how
like-
they are, and they're like they're archaeologists. They're like us.
I mean, you gotta like look at the other movies. I mean, you're
Right.
dealing with other forms of belief. You've got Christianity, you got Judaism, you got Hinduism. Why not have aliens?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
why not?
So yeah. So I say it's 4 for me, but there's just some movie sequencing that bothers me more. But it's not the story. I think the story is good.
Yes.
Yeah. I think
Still,
the writing was
It's just there's some
fine.
scenes where you're just like,
Right.
it's not. It didn't have the Indiana Jones 80s feel
It's like
to
a
it.
Scorpion King situation
Yeah.
where the movie's really good until the
It's like
certain
you
parts
didn't-
where you're
eh,
like,
yeah, you didn't have to do these scenes.
Right.
So that's what it is for me. And for
Yeah.
you guys, it was 3.
It
Yeah.
was our 3.
It was your 3. And okay. All right, so
And of course, you brought back Marion. I mean,
Yeah,
Marion,
she's
she was
great.
great.
She's awesome.
she nailed the character, and you believe that the love's always been there. And when they get married, you're like, you got the closure. And so it kind of makes me curious what they're going to do with this new movie. I'm going to be there. I'm going to see it. I'm going to love it no matter what. I'm ride or die Indiana Jones. It could be a movie of him like 5 hours in his underwear just going like doing John William fart sounds, like with these I'll be like
that's enough.
the Darth Vader theme.
I'll love it. I got excited when I think I saw the preview and I was like, "Yep, I'm ready."
Yeah.
You get some John William esque sound. I'm all for it. So, are you guys excited? Going to see it
Yeah,
in the
for
theater?
sure gonna
Now
see it.
pass. No,
Okay,
of course
we're
I'm
just
gonna
gonna
go.
pass like
I'm
that.
gonna see it, of course.
No, movie theater culture's kind of changed
It
and stuff
is.
like that with what we
It's-
see
Yeah.
and don't see. I don't see Marvel films anymore.
that's
I don't.
one of
I've
those-
lost it.
Well, yeah, it's hard to get into those.
It's starting to go downhill a little.
We'll see. All right, so as always, I've conveyed my love for Indiana Jones and
you,
all of
you
us.
finally got your Indiana
I was
Jones.
like, oh, God, I want Indiana Jones, but now the movie came out.
You got your Rocketeer. You got your Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost I don't have anything else to share anymore. I've done.
This is your last episode.
This is my last.
Oh.
I've done Thrawn so many times.
I have nothing else
You
to give.
kind of know what I'm about. You know what I shop for at Disney parks. I'm not.
Through this podcast, you've learned who we are as people.
I'm just so transparent now. You're like, we know this already.
Well, we still got to do Waterboy episode.
No.
While we eat our Barro's pizza. Yes, tell us what you think about Indiana Jones. Love, hate him. I don't care. I've heard it all, and I see people's points, and I go, yeah, that's not for everyone. Yeah, it's cheesy, but I love it. And that's kind of what I say about Disney and Star Wars too. They're like, yep, I see why people hate it, and I see why people love it, and it's something that is attached to your childhood
It
that
is.
you fall in love with, and you just ride. You ride or dies with it. So tell us your thoughts about your number one Indiana Jones, what issues you have with it or don't have with it, and whether you're going to go see the new movie. So you can reach out to us on all our social media platforms, matterhornyodlers@gmail.com. Jackie always has to nod her head because she knows I don't remember. And with that being said, Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember,
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.